Hi, and welcome to another episode of In the Spotlight, where we shine a spotlight on entrepreneurs, SMEs, and innovators. I'm Maxine Crow, your host, and I am actually delighted today to be joined by Andrew Croasdale, founder and director of Octopus. Um, Andrew, I hope you don't mind before before you introduce yourself. I'm going to share with the audience a little story about about how we met, and we're actually on entrepreneurs, and there's a great ski person of influence trip, and we've been out for dinner. And Andrew was wandering off down down the wrong road, and I'm there screaming, "Do you remember?" I'm like, Kevin. Obviously not getting any response because his name's not Kevin, and it's just been a beautiful friendship since then, and just a lovely story to tell on how you can build rapport by getting someone's name wrong. Andrew, great to have you here today. Oh, I've lost. So unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
There we are.
There you go.
Yeah, so I was just saying, I keep trying to forget that traumatic incident, but you keep reminding me, and I think you will keep reminding me. But we have a good chuckle about it, don't we?
We do, and it's just amazing how when you meet people for the first time, it was just fun and great to know you. So I was about to call you Kevin. Andrew, just tell us a bit about yourself and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur.
So my main career, my background is in policing. I did a little over 30 years in policing, a full mix of kind of uniform patrol. I was a detective for about 7 years. In counter-terrorism for about a quarter of my service, which I probably enjoyed the most. But even in most of those different departments that I worked, it was on the preventative, proactive side. So that was, how can you be creative and get ahead of the curve and understand the cause of the problem and actually stop it happening in the first place? And that's what really interested me. And at first it feels difficult, but then you get to understand how you can do things, who you can work with, ideas, and I really enjoy it. And I think I blossomed there. And then particularly when I was promoted to inspector, you're very much in charge of your own area, your own teams. And whilst you have got seniors, you're left to your own devices. And I think that's when the first entrepreneurial spark lit, when this is really down to me. If it goes wrong, it's my responsibility. If it goes well, it's my responsibility. And the freedom to try different ideas and the way you manage the team and your personal style really gets put under the spotlight. And you've really got to round off those edges, learn how to get the best from your people. So whilst I was still in policing, there's a lot of room for creativity because it's a complex, difficult world with lots of moving parts. And I think which was around 2008-9. And then when I retired from the police in 2022, I'd already decided a couple of years before that I would want to have my own business. I want to have my own thing, find what's important to me, or use what I find important to me to make a difference. And that really is around team performance, ethical leadership, how you can, through your leadership, make a bigger impact on the world through the power of teams.
That's absolutely amazing how you've managed to transfer all that learning and those skills that you accumulated into now your own business. What were some of the initial challenges that you found after you'd retired from the force and with setting up? And what were some of your learnings?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's part of what a lot of us want to do, is to save people the pain and the long years of learning to understand how to overcome particular challenges. And once you've got that and you've been through that, you think, why not help people? I mean, I was very much driven into the police by the big desire to I suppose, challenge evil and help the good.
Yeah.
And ultimately you get the joy of helping people, which I think is like the best form of payment you can get. And I think you're very similar like that. You are up there with the nicest people I know, and I can tell and know that your driving force is how you can help people. So
Yeah.
I think we agree on that, and that's, I think, a big motivator for many entrepreneurs. So when I left, I would say it was a shock to start with. Kind of on the Friday, I'm a senior officer at counter-terrorism headquarters in London. I've got a number of big projects that I'm trying to push through nationally to improve the safety of the public by, again, it was a proactive role where I was developing the infrastructure to safeguard the public from terrorism. How can we get ahead of the curve and identify people that are being drawn in early? And I got an immense amount of fulfillment as well as frustration from that. It's never a straight line. And I had a team to look after. Suddenly, Monday morning, I've no team. I've lost that identity. I no longer can go into any police buildings. I've lost my top secret vetting status. I am no longer in charge of these big projects that were not just what I had to do, but they were what I thought was the right thing to do. And when you are involved in that kind of work, it's very personal, and I probably took for granted how much I got from that. So suddenly, Monday morning, all that's gone. It felt great at first, but very quickly, I felt quite a big loss, really. A loss of identity. I'd been in this institution for over 30 years, and suddenly, you're on your own. So I realized how important it was, whatever money you've got, to feel that you are still doing something worthwhile. And that is where my business octopus leadership was the rock, I suppose, because that's now the next chapter for me. How can I help business owners of service-based businesses between about kind of 15 and 50 people who want to get higher performance from their people? Because that is the nut that I had cracked, and those are the people I want to help. So that was the kind of the challenge to start with, and then joining groups like the group I'm in, like yourself.
Yeah.
That then gives you another high that brings you up. That there's these incredible people that are incredibly successful, have usually got a very purpose-driven business. And whatever level of success, they've still got time for you. They've still got ideas for you. They've still got help. And that, for me, having come from the public sector where I thought business is all about money and it's just about greed and self-interest, actually realized that business can be a real force for good. And a lot of people, the ethical spectrum of business is full of people that want to do something good and want to help other entrepreneurs and give them a leg up and help them solve the problem. So what I'm feeling, I want to help people with. Actually, there's people ahead of me, like yourself, that have been fantastic level of support. So yeah, still very much on that journey, and I think I will be until my deathbed. But yeah, it's a roller coaster, an interesting roller coaster.
It's quite interesting, and I can really resonate with that feeling of being out there. But then, having groups and surrounding yourself by some really brilliant people helps to keep you moving forward, and helps when you're going to have those days when it's kind of, oh my god, I feel really lonely today, but we can reach out. It's just a quick message, it's a phone call, and that's really great. So I know that we've spoken about octopus leadership between us, but just for the audience, just talk about your model and just explain a bit around your approach and what, if I was coming to you as, look, I really need help in my team, how would you support me?
So I suppose that the heart of my philosophy is that a business can only be as good as its team or its teams. And therefore, by focusing on the performance of your team, that gives you the best chance of having a successful business. And I think often teams are overlooked, and they are given a job description, they're recruited, and they come in and they do a job, but often they can become just functional and not formidable. So they just get used to, I come in, I do this, I do that, I do the other, we answer the phone. And I think it's almost like gravity has a pull on performance, and it will just become functional without the leader creating a more inspiring environment. And if you bear in mind, in the public sector where you have no commission bonuses, company cars, healthcare, any kind of incentives like that, you really have to work hard to understand what can you do to inspire the best from your people, because public safety, people's lives, domestic violence, injuries, all that rests on how good your people are. And that is the movement, isn't it? From team member to leader, is you've now got to achieve through others. You've got to learn to step back, let go, and you've got to lead through others. You've got to achieve results through others. So that's what I learned. And I don't know if we come on to this at all later, but in essence, I'm an introvert, was a very introverted child. My parents thought police is not the career for you, you're too shy. But actually, when I think about it, being an introvert, I think, was my superpower. And I would say to other introverts, use it as your superpower. So where I might have had a colleague who was very confident, very brash, could walk into any room, command the room, I think introverts have to think it through a bit more carefully. And what that did, I think, for me, is make me think really hard about what is it we're trying to achieve, what are the options to get there, and how do I get the best out of my people? And it really made me almost study it as a subject.
Yeah.
And I think what that did then is made me very successful at transforming the success and the performance of teams. So that's my general philosophy, I suppose. And I think you need really 4 strategic ingredients, which are, you need clarity and focus. Through clarity, you get focus. You need inspiration for the team. You need an improvement environment and philosophy about your business. And you need consistency then. Once you've found that, you need to kind of lock it into your business. So I've developed what I think are the 8 key steps. When I look back through my 26 years of leadership learning, I've crystallized it into 8 key steps that we go through with business owners to take them from kind of unfulfilled potential. These businesses they're doing okay, but they want to be better than okay. They want to kind of lead the competition. They want to grow, and they need to grow through a really strong foundation, and that's a performing team. So how do we go from unfulfilled potential to realized full potential? And those are those kind of eight key steps.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I take them through, from one-to-one coaching through to a more high-ticket item, which might be almost acting as a sort of fractional chief operating officer or a consultant basis, coming in, having a look at the business, giving your diagnosis and assessment of where the gaps are, and then working through those gaps with either team leaders or chief operating officers or the founder, depending on the size of the business.
Yeah. And I think having that 8-step approach, I guess you're going to find that there's people that are at different stages in their team development. I always say that embedding skills and learning in organizations, it's not just about a workshop and going in. It takes time to embed and then actually see the results and the fruits of your labor. So what's a typical time scale for your leadership programs that we would expect?
I would say that probably 12 months is a good period to give to it, and this is why it requires, to some degree, the kind of more mature founder, patient founder that understands that this is strategic improvements that takes time to a little time to create and implement and embed into the team working. It's in many ways it might be best seen as a leadership framework. But once you've locked that into your business, then that power will continue for a long time.
Yeah.
So it does require a degree of patience and willingness to understand and invest in that strategic improvement, that step up, rather than thinking, I want this fixed tomorrow. We get very used to quick fixes, don't we?
Yeah.
So I can do kind of 90-day sprints. I can do strategic full days where we can work with people. But I think the core is really to give people the teaching around the step, give them a chance to start to implement it, focus on then that implementation and see how that's gone, and then next month move on to the next step.
Yeah.
Because we've probably all been on courses where you get this sudden drop of lots of knowledge and teaching, and then suddenly your brain is whizzing round and you've got to try and then implement this, and the chances are that you don't. So by taking it a little bit slower and a step at a time, where you're holding the hand of the founder, helping them not just receive the knowledge, but understand how to implement it and implement it in their particular business, I find that's the most powerful way of making sure it lasts.
Yeah, that's a brilliant approach, and I just again advocate that embedding, and can't emphasize enough how important it is once you have that learning, then acting on that learning. So just a question for you: what advice would you give to other SMEs looking to expand or to start their own businesses?
To entrepreneurs starting the businesses or established businesses?
To those that are looking to expand or innovate.
Yeah, I suppose it would be to repeat the power of the team, the focus on the team. I think whilst I know tech brings a lot to the table now, artificial intelligence, multiple software options, I think there's still something very important about people. People make the decisions about tech. People are receiving the benefit of the service. I think there are many examples, aren't there, of like Richard Branson. Virgin has got only so many followers. Richard Branson has got multiple more followers than his brand, because people are interested in people. So I think I would encourage leaders to really focus on the power of their teams. And sometimes that is difficult. There are sometimes awkward characters, sometimes some big characters, and it can be quite it can be quite daunting, the thought of tackling them. And I've been there, and it can be awful. But I've come out the other side of it, and I've been in situations where the team have later come to me on an individual and in small groups to say, my goodness me, it's like a cloud has been lifted. The fact that you tackled that person that previous leaders haven't has just been like, we enjoy coming to work now. We feel like we can give of ourselves. We don't feel this cloud. And I experienced it as a kind of practitioner.
Yeah.
Unless you tackle these people, they have a really negative effect on performance for the business or the department, and a really negative effect on the other people. So that's part of improving the performance of the team. But yeah, I would encourage people to really look at the team and think about, imagine if I had no financial incentives to offer these people, how could I inspire the best from them?
Yeah.
And certainly, if any of your listeners want, I'm currently in the process of refreshing my 8-step method. I call it an 8-step process to high performance. So if they want a free copy of that through yourself or direct to me, however you want to do it, Maxine, then that might help them. Just give them those kind of eight key steps. I think if we focus on these, we focus through the team, we will have a much more powerful, sustainable business that's got a foundation from which to grow. I think without a strong team, the foundation is not stable, and it will collapse in some places when you try and grow. So that for me is an essential step that you need before you can move forwards.
Yeah, that's really great. So share that after we finish, and then I can make sure that that gets through to our listeners. What does the future hold for you, Andrew? So how do you see Octopus leadership developing in the next 5 years?
I think it's just to continue to find my people, the right kind of person for me. I think most entrepreneurs, most businesses will recognize that sometimes customers are not always the right customers for you. And I've fairly recently heard within our kind of circles, people talk about actually be really overt about who are the right people for you, who are the wrong people for you. What is your service right for? Who is your service not right for? What do you expect of the people that you take on? So I think refining that, understanding that through more conversations, who are those right people, hitting that sweet spot more often, getting the pleasure from liking the customers that you're working with, seeing their lives improved and transformed, see how much happier they are running the team, seeing how they've got more time, they're enjoying running the team, they've got less mistakes and frustrations, the team are delivering better service for the customers, they've got happier customers, and it just feels a much happier place to be as the owner or leader of that business. I suppose getting to understand who that is and serving more of those, and me getting the buzz that you get from helping those people, for me is the future. I've also got a little bit involved, sort of inadvertently, into some security work where I've been asked to do a little bit of security advising work. So I think there still is whilst my primary focus, I want to kind of see what I can do with business. I've also got a natural love for protecting people and what comes from security. And so, I'd like to probably help advise some security firms, cybersecurity firms, maybe do some things around community safety. So, I just enjoy the opportunity that being an entrepreneur gives you in the freedom of being able to use your skills and experiences to make a positive impact in the world. So I think there's a few things around the corner.
Yeah, that's really exciting. When you were talking just then about the right types of people and the right types of customers, sometimes, in fact, there's been a couple of recent instances where there's been colleagues who have said, I've stopped working with a certain client because it's not the right fit. So I'd say for the audience, sometimes there's this fear factor of, oh my God, we've had this established relationship for so many years. However, if your values have shifted and if it's not serving, it's basically trying not to be afraid of, okay, I'm going to lose that, but just think about how much you're going to gain when you are actually in the right space, working with the right types of clients. That your DNA, you've got this DNA of value and ethics that's ingrained as your blueprint. So it's finding that synergy with the clients that you want to work with, isn't it, as well? I think it's hard at first, but when you get to a point.
Yeah, I think in many ways, for smaller businesses, your clients are almost akin to team members, because you're spending time with them, you are discussing a range of aspects, and if they are not the right person for you, just like your team members, then it does create that friction, and that friction is not good for them, it's not good for you. So it does take a level of boldness, but I think by understanding your personal values and your business values, and actually the second step in my methodology is about cultivating an ethical culture and an identity for the business, because without that, you can't attract the right people, you can't hold your team to account against a level of values and purpose. So you're lost, and you can't then inspire them. So So that helps you in terms of your team, but as you say, it equally helps you in terms of understanding your clients, and so being overt about what is our business about, what are we trying to achieve, how do we work, what's important to us, what are our values. That helps hopefully your clients understand you and attract more of the right clients and repel the wrong ones. So
Yeah,
yeah, it takes some boldness, but yeah,
it
it
does.
can be stressful if you don't.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're really on the same page there. Andrew, what's the best piece of advice you've received as an entrepreneur?
Whew, that is a good question. I've probably received lots of advice in the last 2 years, so that bucket is full. To wade through the best piece of advice.
Or give us a couple if you've got more than one.
Yeah,
That's
I think
yeah.
probably what I've drawn out is I think the values aspect was probably hidden in my policing career. We had corporate values, but they are kind of the poster that nobody reads and looks at. But when I look back, I think some of the difficulties that I had dealing with some of the problem people was an absence of values to compare their behavior against. And I didn't really realize that at the time. But I think since coming into business and developing my own business, I've realized how powerful that is in being successful in understanding what direction to move in. So that would be a big one for me is what's your purpose, what's important to you, and what are your values. What else? Respond to people when they call you Kevin, because they might be trying to keep you safe from danger.
That's a good point.
Be flexible. What else would I say? Yeah, just follow your purpose. Don't get drawn into things for the money. Do it for the pleasure and fulfillment, and that will naturally, I think, come across to your clients and those that you're helping. I think we all do a little bit of work for free, as I do. But that once you are true to what's important to you and build a business on that, I think that's really powerful. People can see it. They can see your eyes get wider. You light up. You can't wait to see them again and start working on any particular aspect. So that's a really powerful point, rather than as you might see others just focus on the money, but actually it's not the passion. And how sustainable is that?
You reminded me of there's a head of procurement leader that I used to work with on the contract, and in our field you're always driven, it's always about cost savings and where can you rationalize and bundle. And he always used, I'll never forget his name's that he's an Andrew, and he basically said do the right thing and the money and the finance side will follow. So when you lead your business with purpose as entrepreneurs, then the money will follow, because you're doing it for the right reasons and you're serving the purpose. And I do hear a lot of entrepreneurs express once they focused on their purpose, things shifted and changed for them. So, for the audience and for those listening out there, it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, doing the right thing, that is actually a phrase that has helped me for probably 15, 20 years, because you end up in some really difficult situations where you've got options, and if you turn left, the media could criticize you if it goes wrong. If you turn right, the public could criticize you. If you go straight on, your seniors could criticize you.
Yeah.
And you just know in that kind of a high stakes environment, you can get lost. And then when I kind of found that phrase of just do the right, what's the right thing to do? Just do the right thing. And you ask yourself that question, it gives you the answer. And then you can move forwards knowing that this is the right thing to do. And if it goes wrong, you've got a rationale for it.
Yeah.
And if it goes right, great. But that is sometimes a difficult thing to do. And sometimes it means, like in the case of tackling poor performance, sometimes you've not got the headspace to tackle it. You've not got the time. But when you say, what's the right thing to do? Right, it's to tackle this individual. And then you make the time and then you do it. And you think, my goodness me, that was the right thing to do, and the benefits that come from it. But that's where perhaps in this day and age of quick fix over longer term sustainability, often the quick fix is the choice, isn't it? We're so used to click on Amazon and it's there the next day that we haven't got the patience for the longer term. But I think hopefully listeners, when they've got something serious to do, will recognize the benefits of doing the right thing in the long term, whether it's in their personal life or in their business.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you. How do you maintain work-life balance, especially now with the demands of running a business?
Who says I'm successful at that?
You've started.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose I'm reasonably fortunate financially that I don't need to work full time. I could class myself as semi-retired. That's allowed me to do things like walking, spending time out with the dog. I've built a patio in the house. I've helped build some decking at the back of the house. I've got 2 kids that are kind of 14 and 15, supporting them and all their dancing and football and tennis and everything else. And I think those are those moments. I know you've got children. Those moments come and go very quickly, don't they? And unless you seize them, you're going to miss them. So I always said to myself that I would do everything I could whilst I was in the police to be around for the kids until they were 10. And then being 10 suddenly came around quickly. And I'm like, right, I don't want to give that up yet. I still want to be around for them. So how do I suppose sometimes you just got to put some strict parameters in place and understand what your priorities are, and always be there for the things that are most important, like the sports occasions and dance shows.
Yeah.
And where policing, it was a bit more difficult. You had to be smart with the use of your leave. And now as an entrepreneur, you get to, by and large, be able to shape your work around those priorities most of the time.
Yeah.
Having said that, the ski trip that we've just been on was during my daughter's birthday. And I spoke to her beforehand and said, what do you think about this? She said, oh, yeah, go. It's absolutely fine. On the night of her birthday, when we got back from the meal out, there was a FaceTime phone call with her in tears saying, oh, you weren't here for my birthday, Dad. So we try our best. We try our best.
I remember us talking about that, because I've got an instance coming up where it's my daughter's show, and actually the dates clash, and we're on holiday. It's the first show in 19 years that I will, and I was heart-wrenched, honestly. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a tough one. So, Andrew, is there a book, podcast, or resource that's been particularly influential to you?
I would say the book that stands out for me would be probably oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley. Mm-hmm. And the reason is, I think because we're both big fans of Daniel and his very kind of grounded way that he sees the world and how it unfolds and provides simple explanations. But what I liked about oversubscribed is the fact that almost the arrowhead of successful businesses is to really delight your customers, to really focus on giving a great level of service. And that is really important to me, and important to me in policing, and important to me in my business now. And I believe that is the arrowhead, to really focus on fantastic service. And then you compete on value, not price. And then that is the route to success and being oversubscribed. So that simple notion for me was like, yes, I love that. And Daniel's books are great. So that will be for me, probably the standout. Yeah. What about yourself?
Amazing. Oh my gosh. So there's a couple of books by a lady called Caroline Myss, and it's all about sort of grace, gratitude. But then I love the Daniel Priestley book, Simon Sinek, The Why. It was quite important for me as part of my journey when trying to conceptualize the academy, what it was going to look like, because you have a vision, but I couldn't touch and feel it or even explain it to you 12 months ago. So even 18 months ago. So yeah, books like that, where they're really teaching and giving you methodology, a framework, that they're amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's that powerful symbol that comes through. I would say Simon Sinek's why is probably the second one for me. Again, because he's underlining the sort of purposeful business, and how in an age of tech and speed and everything else, that human purpose is so powerful and so driving. So yeah, I completely agree.
So just before I let you go on to enjoy the rest of your day, are there any final words of wisdom for our audience? And then can you let us know how listeners can contact you and get hold of you to learn more about your 8 steps and your teamwork?
Yeah, final words of wisdom. My goodness, I wasn't expecting that one. Be true to what's important to you. Do the right thing, particularly when you're in difficult situations and you don't know the answer. Ask yourself, what's the right thing to do here? In terms of getting in touch with me, LinkedIn is the main social media platform I use. Andrew Croasdale, Croasdale. Couple of things for your listeners. I have a business diagnostic scorecard, just 15 questions. They can go onto the scorecard. I'll let you have details. It's probably too complicated to say over the air, but 15 questions. People can take that if they are business with teams, and it will give them some feedback on where their leadership framework sits, some ideas for improvement, and the opportunity for a complimentary consultation. And then, as I say, I will let you have this 8-step visual, again, which your listeners can take for free.
Yeah, that's amazing. Andrew, it's the end of our time, and I know that we're in touch anyway, but it's been absolutely amazing to hear about your journey and about your amazing octopus leadership. And you're doing amazing, and I wish we could talk all day, but we're at the top of our time now. So this has been another amazing episode of In the Spotlight. I'll share your nuggets and pearls of wisdom with our audience, and thank you so much for your time today.
It's my pleasure. It's been great talking to you too, Maxine.